الحمد لله رب السماوات ورب الأرض رب العالمين وله الكبرياء في السماوات والأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم. الحمد لله الذي بنعمته تتم الصالحات. ربنا لك الحمد حتى ترضى ولك الحمد إذا رضيت ولك الحمد بعد الرضا. صلى الله وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد على سيد الأولين والآخرين محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. And he says, يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله ولتنظر نفس ما قدمت لغد واتقوا الله إن الله خبير بما تعملون. My dear respected brothers and sisters in Islam, all praise and glory and thanks are due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We owe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala everything we have, and we are dependent on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all our needs. وَمَا بِكُم مِّن نِّعْمَةٍ فَمِنَ اللَّهِ. Anything that is going right in your life, including the fact that you are here, the fact that you are alive, the fact that you're healthy, the fact that your family is okay, the fact that you have a job, you have all of these are blessings and favors from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you need to express, you need to appreciate it, and express your gratitude to Him in words and in deeds. In words, by sincere thanking Allah from the bottom of your heart, that you feel that Allah has given you so much, so you are really feel that you are so much indebted to Allah, imtinan to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and in deeds by using the resources that Allah has given you for His sake. Using the resources that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fi sabilillah. So if Allah gives you time, commit some of it fi sabilillah, gives you money, same thing, gives you knowledge, skills, anything. My dear respected brother and sister in Islam, as you all know that the massacre and genocide in Gaza is continuing, and the killing and devastation and destructions of lives is continuing, and the operations seems to be moving south, and the abuses in the West Bank also continuing, and nobody seems to be able or willing to stop it, either out of weakness, like most Arab and Muslim countries, or out of complicity, those who they wanted to continue or they giving the green light. Reach the point where hospitals are attacked. Something that every day we think this is it, that's the limit, and then something happened beyond our imagination. The scenes of attacking hospitals was really sent a bold message. The Israelis are sending a bold message that we can do whatever we want, and nobody can stop us, including attacking hospitals. It's with no limits, with total disregard to international law and human rights, etc. Now, as usual, the way we dealt with it, it's exactly the same way we dealt with previous crisis. After a few weeks, a couple of demonstrations, we go back business as usual, and life resumed to be like a routine, and we get used to this. It's a very unfortunate thing, and we don't ask the hard questions, which is why this is happening and what can we do about it in the future, not now. I mean, right now there is hardly anything that you can do. You can express your anger, you can talk to a representative. We have been doing this, even that minimum, sometimes we don't do it right or we don't do it consistently, but we don't ask the hard questions and we don't hold anybody accountable. Now, one of them, probably we are the only people in the world who repeats their mistakes the same way, and sometimes by the same people, and nobody is held accountable, and that's why we remain in this vicious cycle and we're going nowhere. So let's face the brutal reality. This is happening because of our weakness. Probably no other community in the world this can happen to them. But this is happening because of our weakness. So we need to tackle the root cause of the problem, our weakness and our irrelevance. And that's the same case. The same thing applies not only Gaza. I mean, you can see Syria, you can see Sudan, you can see. I mean, it's a mass everywhere. Almost in every Muslim countries, it's so messy. People are being pushed out of their homes and lives are being distracted, and power struggle, etc. So there is hardly, the brutal reality that we need to face is there is hardly anything we can do with our current situation. It's as painful as it is. It's painful. It adds to the pain of seeing what's going on in different Muslim countries. It adds to the pain the fact that you can do nothing. I mean, you can watch for hours, you can feel the pain, you can become angry. Maybe the maximum, as I said, one demonstration here, maybe some dua, maybe some relief when there is an option, and that's it. That's what we have been doing. Yeah. That's what we have been doing with our situations. We are continuing to deal with the symptoms and the consequences, not tackling the root causes. Watching, again, pain, anger, etc. So we need to accept the brutal fact is that if we're going to continue to do the same thing, we should not expect different results. Because they say insanity is to keep doing the same thing over and over again, the same way, and expect different results. If we're going to continue to do the same thing, nothing is going to change. As bad as it is, I know maybe you want to hear something else from me. But I don't want to deceive anybody. Never mind to deceive in myself. I can tell you, no, inshallah we'll work out, and Nasr Qareeb, and inshallah we're getting there. But that's fooling ourselves. That's wishful thinking or daydreaming. The brutal fact is we have been in a state of stagnation and backwardness and weakness and subordination for decades now, if not more than that. And we are in the same cycle, and we're going nowhere. We reached the point of weakness that we don't know even what is planned for us. Now we're seeing, if we get together, we talk about any case. Like, what is the plan for Sudan? We don't know. Another division, maybe. What's the plan for Gaza? It's transfer? What is the plan? The plan is being executed in front of our eyes when we're sitting down guessing. Like, talk about self-determination. And we are expected to be people who own their decision. So things are planned for us. We don't know even what it is, even as it is being executed and unfolding, and we're guessing. Everybody says, no problem. I think Syria, maybe they want to divide it. Maybe they want to do this. Where are we in this? Until when we're going to continue to be in these situations again? You say Palestine is occupied, but that's not the only country is occupied. Give me one Muslim country that is independent. Now we're fooling ourselves. We have been deceived by this idea of independence. Because we thought independence is to have a flag and to have national anthem and to have... That's not independence. Independence means you have your decision, you own your decision. They call it self-determination. And if you apply that standard, I don't think you find any Muslim country that is truly independent. I know for sure there is no Arab country that is independent. But even, again, Muslim countries, I doubt it if there is one that is truly independent. It is about time to apply the wisdom, they say. What do they say? They say, think globally and act locally. Think globally and act locally. Yes, it's good to be following what's going on in the Muslim world. That's part of, shows how much you care. But at the end of the day, you're not going to be able to do anything there. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala settled you here to do the job here. And He's going to ask you about your job. And it's not going to help you to tell Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I spent hours watching the news and following what's going on, and that was what I did. Now that's not your contribution, because this way you're not contributing anything. So think globally and act locally. That's the main thing that I want to focus in the next few minutes, inshallah. Each one of us needs to ask himself, what is my calling? What is my mission? What is it that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala expects from me? Because so that when I stand before Him, I can say that I did it to the best of my ability. Do I know what are the expectations? Do I know my assignments? Do I know my duties and my role, my job description? What are the expectations? Why? Because you need to meet those expectations. Each one of us should aim to do your best in this life so that when you meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you can, and that can happen anytime, you can say that I did my best. I did everything I can. I did not spare any effort. I did everything I can. That's what you should be able to do. No matter how good you are in terms of worship, akhlaq, in terms of giving fi sabilillah or contributing, you need always to try to push your limits. Always need to challenge yourself to move to the next level. Learning more, becoming a better person, and doing more fi sabilillah. Ask yourself how much time you are committing fi sabilillah, how much money, what percentage of your money, what percentage of your time you are dedicating fi sabilillah, and you will know that there is a lot of room for each one of us to improve and to push ourselves and to push our limits. So we're going to have to understand and remember that we are here in this life for a reason. And when you are hired in a job, you are hired for a reason. There is a job description that you have to understand it and fulfill it to the best of your ability. And there are expectations that you have to know and meet them. Otherwise, you're going to be in trouble. وَلِلَّهِ الْمَثَلُ الْأَعْلَى. Now we are in this life, we have job description. We think we know it. You need to study it and fulfill it to the best of your ability. And in your job, you have a boss that you need to know very well in order to succeed in your job. In this life, we have a creator that we need to know so that we can succeed in that job. So we have to realize and remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought us in this life to fulfill a specific mission and gave us resources to use it for that mission. And when we stand before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we're going to be asked about these two. Did you fulfill that mission, and did you use the resources that Allah has given you to fi sabilillah and to pursue His ridwan? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us intellect, aql, intellectual resources, physical, spiritual, financial, relationships, etc. All of these need to be leveraged fi sabilillah. The mission that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has assigned to us is huge. None of us should ever think that you already know it very well and you are fulfilling it. Because the Quran challenges us, says, حَقَّ تُقَاتِرْ, yani be mindful of Allah as is His due. And then when it comes to جاهدوا في سبيل الله, the Quran comes back and says حَقَّ جِهَادٍ, as is His due. None of us should ever feel that you are already there. It's a standard that you can only get closer and closer to it by improving your knowledge of Allah and Deen, by perfecting your worship, by doing more fi sabilillah, perfecting your manners, becoming a better version of yourself continuously, etc. So this is the mission that we have to understand and fulfill it to the best of our ability and spare no efforts, rather than continue to be busy with things that we have no control and we can do nothing about it. The immediate circle is your prime responsibility. Yourself, your family, the people around you, that circle is your prime responsibility. And that's what, if there are grades, that's going to take the biggest part of your grade. Because as the circle becomes wider and wider, your influence is going to become less and less. I mean, how much influence you're going to have in the neighborhood, in the city, in the state, in the country, in the whole world is going to be decreasing. But how much influence and responsibility you have toward yourself, that's here. And then family, it's there. Because these children, they come blank sheets in this life, and you make them whatever you do the way you want. So to utilize what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you to fulfill the job He assigned you. Not only that, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala assigned us, and that's part of our job in this life, is even those resources need to be developed. And you cannot say this is, I'm limited. No, you cannot. You can. You can learn more, you can do more, you can make more, gain more money so that you can put it more fi sabilillah, etc. So even the resources that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you, some of them, they are already there, they need to be leveraged. But also some need to be developed. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves strong believer more than a weak believer. And you know that the more you have, the more you can do fi sabilillah. Someone has more money can do more sabilillah. Someone who is successful professionally, has a good solid network, can do more fi sabilillah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to not only to utilize the resources that He has given you, but also to develop them and to cultivate them. And as I mentioned before, you need to try to excel in this life and succeed and be very rich, etc. The only difference between you and anybody else is that people may be doing this for themselves, for the prestige, and for you are doing it so that you can do more fi sabilillah. You want to have more money so that you can do more fi sabilillah. So now, in order to do this, if we're going to be more specific, what are the items? I'm going to mention very practical steps. If we really are serious about this, meeting Allah while He's pleased with you, meeting His expectation, doing what you are supposed to do, etc. The first thing that you need to know is to learn about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Learning about Allah so that you can teach people. If you cannot teach your child about Allah or teach someone, a non-Muslim, about Allah, means you don't know him enough. So not learning having an idea, learning to teach. Learning so that you are able to tell people about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Very few Muslims are in that situation. Majority of us have a superficial idea about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If we try to explain Him to our children, we'll find ourselves struggling. We'll find ourselves, we have some bits and pieces here and there, but we don't have any coherent message like professor or teacher sitting there and articulating or explaining the concept to students. So learning about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is key for so many things. Why? Because the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam promised, if you know Allah, you will love Him. If you love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's it. You will have all the motivation to worship and to serve His cause, to worship Allah and to serve His cause. So you are no longer praying just because you are afraid of punishment. You are no longer trying to do the minimum to get by. You start trying to do the maximum, like the companions used to ask Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The typical question they were asking about what is the most beloved deed to Allah. So they were competing for the best, not asking for the minimum. And if you get to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this will put you on that path or that track, which means that you become so motivated, so excited to worship Allah out of love and gratitude and to serve His cause to the best of your ability. Number two, so knowing Allah, that's one track. And please resist any whisper from shaitan that, no, that's not needed. I know Allah. I know a couple of names and attributes. No, knowing Allah can take all your life. Knowing, because the Quran is mostly a book about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So studying the Quran, studying those names and attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, understanding how this universe, khalq, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala praises those who contemplate on the creation. وَيَتَفَكَّرُونَ فِي خَلْقِ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ will make you connected to Allah all the time, always mindful of Allah, and always looking for ways to get closer to Him and to express your love and gratitude to Him. Number two, the list of items in our job or in our contract with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is to develop yourself into a role model. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to be all you can be. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not want to see you the same person day in, day out. 2 days in a row, and you did not learn anything new, and you did not improve in any way. What does this mean? What's the difference between this person and the one who passed away yesterday? No difference. Someone died, their life is frozen, and someone is still alive, but also their life is frozen. Why? Because 24 hours, Allah gave you another big opportunity, another extra day in this life, and you did not use that day to learn anything new or to do anything more or to improve in any way. Developing yourself into a role model, that's a critical, key concept in Islam that was lost. Cultivate and realize all the potential that Allah has given you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls these people successful people. قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ تَزَكَّى قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ تَزَكَّى قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا. What is tazakka? Successful are those who develop themselves. Because the Arabic definition, the literal definition of tazkiyah is إبلاغ الشيء كماله. إبلاغ الشيء كماله means you strive for perfection. That's the tazkiyah. So if you are not doing that, it's long overdue that you start that journey of trying to perfect everything that you are doing. Perfect your roles, whether at work or at home, spousal relationship, parenting, your health, your knowledge, your etc. You should be very thirsty for knowledge. Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam put it so nicely when he said, "Al-hikmah dalatul mu'min." Wisdom is the lost property of a believer. You know lost property? You know when you lose your wallet or your key and you're calling left and right and trying to find it and you cannot even do anything. Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that wisdom should be like that for you. That you're looking for wisdom from everywhere, reading and learning from everybody and from every source. There is one simple formula to do this. Learning and applying. There is no other way. Because you read, you're going to understand part of what you're reading and apply part of what you understand. But if you're reading nothing, then this whole thing collapses. And you'll be the same person, not from one day to another, no, from 1 week to another, from 1 month to another, from 1 year to another. And unfortunately, majority of Muslims, we talk about societies that are stagnant, individuals are stagnant. Majority of Muslims, you don't meet a person for years, and then when you meet them, you find exactly the same person. Nothing has changed. Why? Because they're doing that routine life, sleep, wake up, work, eat, etc. Nothing new. You don't find them learning something new or improving in any way. So either, both actually, it's not either, learning and applying. Or take a mentor. Take somebody as your guide or mentor. It's like when you go to a city that you don't know and you take somebody to guide you. Same thing in this life, you can take someone, you see someone who has more knowledge, etc. Say, please, I want to take you as my mentor. By the way, that's very common in this society. It's only us that it's strange, even though it is very Islamic concept. This mentorship is very Islamic concept. Because Quran tells us about the Prophet ﷺ, يَتْلُ عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتِهِ وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةَ. يُزَكِّيهِمْ means he was mentoring them. He was uplifting the companions. So that's a very noble job to do. Either to be a mentor or to be a mentee for someone else. And we should really make this as something very normal in our community for a person to take someone as a mentor. As you do that, now I'm assuming, again, the first track, learning about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Second, you're going to start working on yourself to be all you can be, because إبلاغ الشيء كماله, that's the meaning of tazkiyah, if you want to translate it in today's language, it is to realize all your potential. And you hear this all the time at work, in companies, in universities, someone working to realize all their potential or to be all they can be. That's a very Islamic concept. As you're doing this, you try to help people around you also becoming better people, uplifting people. That's the job of the Prophet, by the way. You want to be like Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, that's what you should be doing. وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ. Rasul ﷺ was a mentor to his companions. Part of your job in this life is to try to mentor people around. How? It's very simple. You are learning, you are applying, you are improving, you are a role model. That by itself can have an influence on people around you. They call it leading by example. But also sharing the knowledge that you have, giving an advice here and there, helping people who need your help, whether need your time or need your money, etc. All of this is helping or uplifting people and mentoring people around you. So, third track, again, getting to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's track for life. 2, working on yourself to be all you can be, that's another track for life. That none of this has an end. Only when life ends, these processes will stop. And then third track is helping people around you. First, by example, and second, the knowledge that you're gaining. It should become very natural and spontaneous when we get together, when we meet, to be sharing things that we learned during the week. Or I don't see you like 2 days or 3 days. When I meet you, it doesn't have to be complicated. I can say, you know what, I just came to read this. I found very interesting, so I recommend that you read it, or this is what I got. I'm going to give you health advice, religious advice, whatever advice, because I just got it. That cycle of learning and applying and sharing should be activated among Muslims. Should be very normal. You are always learning, and you apply what you learn and then share with people what you learn. Especially, your message will be very powerful because you're already applying it. You know, they say you can tell people to do as you do. You cannot tell people to do as you say. I cannot tell you to do something that I'm not doing myself. So you can tell people to do as you do. As Rasul ﷺ always tells people, just do it the way you see me doing it. It's a very powerful, that makes your message very powerful because it is backed by example. Especially if it comes with compassion. You're doing it not because you feel better than others, but you do it out of compassion. Because you love for others what you love for yourself. So when you come to learn something, you are eager to share it. Why? Because you love for others what you love for yourself. Helping people around you, becoming better people, but also be mercy to people around you. Always remember that Rasul ﷺ was sent as mercy to humanity. You are following a messenger who was sent to as a mercy to all humanity. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Each and every one of us should be mercy to their circle. That people, when they are struggling, they know they can count on you to help. That's a good sign. You shouldn't see it as a burden. You should see it as an opportunity. That people know that so and so is someone you can count on. And even if you cannot do anything, just tell them good words, as the Quran says. وَإِمَّا تُعْرِضَنَّ عَنْهُمْ ابْتِغَاءَ رَحْمَةٍ مِّن رَّبِّكَ تَرْجُوهَا فَقُلْ لَهُمْ قَوْلًا مَيْسُورًا. Somebody came to you for help and you have nothing to help with. Tell them good words. وَإِمَّا تُعْرِضَنَّ عَنْهُمْ ابْتِغَاءَ رَحْمَةٍ مِّن رَّبِّكَ تَرْجُوهَا فَقُلْ لَهُمْ قَوْلًا مَيْسُورًا. Counsel them. Try to make it easy. It's not always people that need money. Sometimes people need to be comforted, need an advice, need some of your experience and life experience. Next, build a happy and successful family. That's what you're going to be responsible about. You're going to be responsible 100% about yourself and close to 100% about your family, raising your children. That's why I'm wondering that we are busy with so many things. but we are not busy with our main job, the one that we're going to be asked about. So building and leading a happy and successful family, successfully raising your children is a critical part of your job that you're going to be asked about. Do the same thing with your children like you did for yourself. Get them to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Teach them about their mission in life. Teach them about the expectations. Teach them that Allah created them for a reason, and they need to use the resources that Allah has given them to fulfill that job and that purpose that He created them for. Do the same thing with your spouse, helping one another, fulfilling this mission, so that it becomes a family not only bound by love and affection and trust but also and respect, but also by common cause. They have same mission. They're helping one another, fulfilling it. And as you as you do all of this, next on the list, you need to learn your religion so that you can articulate it when you have a chance. There are no clergy in Islam. There is no such thing that if someone asks you about Islam, tell them, I'm going to take you to the Imam. He's going to tell you. That's very bad. That should never be the case. Each and every one of us should be able to define Islam and introduce it. And it's not rocket science. A lot of us learned the language that we never knew before, learned the major that we never had no clue about it, and we had so many textbooks, we mastered them, and we took all these classes and we passed them. You're telling me you cannot do that with Islam? That's not true. If the will is there, then you can do it. Some people did not know English at all, but because it was a requirement, they mastered it. And you know that to get a bachelor degree or a master degree, how many courses you take and how many textbooks and how many things you learn. How much things. So you tell me that you cannot do the same thing with Islam? That's not true. Each and every one should really be in a position that when you get an opportunity for somebody, and you will get it, you should be able to articulate your religion with passion and also with efficiency. These are some of the items. We'll talk about more inshallah, but I'm really hoping that we all be like the people that Quran describes, الَّذِينَ يَسْتَمِعُونَ قَوْلًا فَيَتَّبِعُونَ أَحْسَنَهُ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala praises those when they come to learn something, they incorporate it immediately in their lives. They apply it immediately without any delay. وَتُوبُ إِلَى اللَّهِ إِنَّهُ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونتوب إليه نعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهد الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا. Respected brother and sister in Islam, again, the job that Allah has assigned us is huge, but it's an honor to be assigned the job or to do the work of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's an honor, great honor, but also great responsibility. You're going to have to understand it is a great honor because Allah is in no need for our efforts, but gave us that honor to do His work. But also it is a great responsibility. And we should really be up to that level. Allah describes this community to be the best community, describes this community to be a model and leading community. شهداء على الناس وكذلك جعلناكم أمة وسطا لتكونوا شهداء على الناس. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to be very relevant, very impactful, a leading and model community, and it's never too late for that to happen. ربنا اتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم اشف مرضانا وارحم موتانا توفنا وانت راض عنا واختم بالصالحات أعمالنا واجعل خير أعمالنا خواتمها وخير أيامنا يوم نلقاك ومتعنا اللهم بنظر وجهك الكريم. ربنا ارحم والدينا كما ربونا صغارا وارحم موتانا وجميع موتى المسلمين. اللهم احفظ أرواح المسلمين في كل مكان. اللهم استر عوراتهم وأمن روعاتهم. اللهم صد العدوان عن أهل غزة والضفة. اللهم يا ربي استر عوراتهم وأمن روعاتهم. وآويهم يا ربي من التشرد. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك